Hey there, and welcome to From the Ground Up Show, where we inspire and encourage the next generation of blue collar leaders by interviewing and telling the stories of those that have been there, done that, and are often still doing it. Today, we are extremely honored to have Craig Summit joining us, as well as being the head of Scraggly Bush Fur Products, makers of such products as the Squallet, the RackPac, and the Skoosie. Craig is an Air Force veteran who achieved the rank of Senior Master Sergeant. He's a husband, a father, and an avid outdoor enthusiast. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy hearing from Craig as much as I have. He's got an awesome story, and we'll dive right in. So, Craig, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
I know that you love the outdoors and especially hunting, and you've made it out to my neck of the woods here in the Bighorn Mountains outside of Buffalo a few times. Are there any experiences that really stuck in your mind and have a special memory you might be willing to share with us?
Yeah. So I absolutely love Wyoming, and if I could live out there, and I would, but I would have to say, if fishing wise, because I love both hunting and fishing. Fishing, my friend Chris and I, who runs the wildlife fund out there, Chris McBarnes, we have gone fishing in the Hole in the Wall, that place up by Sheridan, the Hole in the Wall. Just that canyon is so beautiful, looking down in these deep pools of trout down. It's just an amazing place to go fishing. And then, but if hunting wise, I would have to say it's hard to beat last year when Chris and my wife and I went hunting, and this big bull was just, raking a tree, and he came down the mountain, and he was going to walk away, but Chris was able to turn him around, and I just see this massive rack heading right, how they sway back and forth, heading right for us. And my wife, shoots him and gets this enormous bull. And we hiked out. We hiked 5 miles out just on pure adrenaline and the rush of killing that bull. So that's got to be the highlight.
That's good to hear. I actually serve as part of our search and rescue team here in Johnson County, and I hate the Hole in the Wall. We've had to haul quite a few people out of there that got injured down in there, and I always complain anybody that crawls down in there to chase a trout deserves to stay there. So it is a beautiful place and it's a cool experience, but when things go poorly, it goes really poorly down there.
Oh, I don't doubt it. That is a steep climb to get down there. And, even at my age, I was, looking at my knees like, oh, I hope they can make it.
Yeah, and it seems like nobody that gets injured down there is of small stature. It's always a job getting them out. So,
oh man, yeah, I bet.
We'll dive right in. I know you guys have launched Scraggly Bush Fur Products. It seems like it's kind of been a meteoric rise, has really taken off. But what we really want to get to, where does the guy that comes up with the idea for the Squallet come from? Can you tell us a little bit about your background and growing up, and who is Craig Summit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Franklin Township, Indiana, which is actually just southeast of Indianapolis. And I would say right on the cusp between suburbia and cornfields. So I had kind of the best of both worlds. My friends were farmers and cornfields, yet, still had the comforts of what suburbia offers, I guess. The neighborhood was solid lower middle. We weren't impoverished by any means, but I would definitely say the average person had more than we did, but I'm not complaining. But that's kind of the area I grew up in. I grew up with a older brother, a younger sister, and a single mom. and she was an imposing woman, 6'1". She was we'll call it fair but firm. So she was great, and then she even hunted too. So that passion for the outdoors was from my grandfather's side, but my mom actually had a buck on the wall as I was growing up. So it's not the biggest buck, some people would question why I was on the wall, but she wanted it on the wall, so it was there. Anyway, so I had a passion for the outdoors, and yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me, about how I grew up.
That's pretty cool. My wife has reluctantly allowed me to hang a few mounts on the wall. I've got a mountain goat and a couple of deer and a couple of elk, but it was definitely not her idea. So awesome. How about
That's awesome.
education? What did school look like for you?
Yeah, so graduated high school, and then I went to Butler University with, as I mentioned, my buddy Chris McBarnes, who runs the wildlife fund out there for Wyoming for you
Yeah.
guys. That's where I met him, actually. Go figure, you go to
Okay.
a liberal arts school like Butler, and it's kind of hard to find people that are into the outdoors. So I met Chris, who was wearing a Carhartt at the time, and we immediately hit it off. I was like, well, here's actually a guy that I can relate to. So I went to Butler for a few years, and yeah, I went to Butler for a few years, and unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was starting my sophomore year. So I didn't do so hot after that. In school wise, a little hard to concentrate. So I ended up dropping out, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, I need a foot in my butt to get disciplined, to get really get back on track. So I ended up joining the military, and it was a great decision because go figure, if you join the military and they tell you what to do, you typically do those things and things get done. So I joined the military, and they have an awesome program where you're allowed to use what's called tuition assistance, and they ended up paying for I finished my bachelor's degree, and then immediately after I finished my bachelor's degree, they pay for you to go and get your master's. So as soon as I was done getting my bachelor's from University of Omaha, Nebraska, I immediately signed up through Liberty University, and I got my MBA. So that's a
Oh,
little bit about my education. Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. And so outside of the Air Force and then launching Scraggly Bush, have there been many jobs there in between, or is that kind of the limit of your career experience?
So if you consider, I had a trap line in high school, that's kind of where, my familiarity with uh with furs started, is, to make extra money for gas and
That's
stuff.
awesome.
In high school, yeah, in high school we trapped, coon, beaver, fox, coyote, um some muskrat and mink, but really, after gas and everything, you don't really make a whole lot. But that's where I got familiar with uh skinning, putting up furs and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's I worked at Tractor Supply for a little bit, and yeah, that's about it.
That's a great background. My dad ran a trap line for a little while in school to raise some money. That's great. So this has been like a lifelong pursuit for you. Your background with fur and trapping and doing things out of furs has been a pretty broad experience. You started pretty early.
Yeah, and like I said, I was fortunate to have friends who lived on farms close to me, to where we went out there and they had the ground we could trap on. So um yeah, it was a great time growing up.
That's great. I might be a little bit envious there. So, okay. So I got to know Scraggly Bush. Where in the world does this idea and this name come from?
Absolutely. So when my sister was I told you about my trapping, trap line and getting no furs in high school. So I've always enjoyed working with furs. But fast forward to my sister getting married in, I think it was 2017, 2018. I wanted to make my sister a funny gag gift for her wedding. So I made this squirrel wallet, and it was we're not talking anywhere near the quality of the stuff we do now. I tanned it. It was like hard as a rock. His legs were sticking out. It was pretty comical, but that's what I was aiming for. So I brought this Squallet to my sister's wedding, and it was kind of a hit. People thought it was funny, and they started saying things like, so and so would want those, or I bet you could sell those. So my brain kind of got primed and was like, maybe this is a thing. But I buried it in my brain and kept on doing what I was doing. And then fast forward to 2021 in January, I was in Wyoming again with Chris McBarnes, and we we're cow hunting with Pat Crank, the former Attorney General of Wyoming, which, by the way, it's not like I rub elbows with highfalutin people all the time. Like, it was just chance that, Chris knew him. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't rub elbows with
Chris really has that skill. He knows how to connect people.
Yeah, and not that, Pat's a great guy. He's hilarious. But as we're cow hunting, and you're a hunter, so you understand this, there's downtime to hunting when you're not seeing game. A lot of conversations come up. And Chris was nudging me. He's like, you got to show Pat Crank that Squallet video. So I took a video of the wedding moment. And I showed Pat, and that was just the talk the rest of the trip. Anytime we had time to spare, it was talking about this Squallet. And he was telling me, he's like, I got all these buddies in Wyoming that would, just eat this up and buy one. So this idea of selling Squallets it resurfaced in my brain. And when we went home after this cow hunt, we had, it was COVID era. So we were sitting around, and there's a lot of thinking because there's not a lot going on in the COVID era. You're trapped in your house, at least we were. And so
yeah,
started thinking about it. And then we got a stimulus check. I was still getting paid. So I was still getting paid, and we got $2,400, me and my wife, for the stimulus check. And I said, hey, if there's ever been an opportunity, here it is, because we're getting money we weren't expecting or counting on. So then I had to present the idea to the boss, that is my wife. And I was like, honey, I have an idea what we could do with the stimulus money. And, we're not rich, so $2,400, that's a lot of money. So initially, I was like, I think we should start a business selling squirrel wallets. And her reaction was about like you could guess. It was like, yeah, that's not happening. But I slowly started to convince her by saying, okay, we'll take the $2,400, which we weren't expecting anyways, and that's all we'll put into it. We won't put a dime more. If it generates revenue, great. Then we'll use that revenue to fund, further development of the business or whatever, but we won't go over that 2,400 cap. And I think reluctantly she finally signed up for the idea of starting the business.
But, oh man, I can only imagine how that conversation would have gone in my house.
It was difficult, I'll tell you that. But the name,
that's awesome.
Name, so yeah. We get questions all the time about the name. And so one of my best friends growing up was a firefighter paramedic, and we used his first and last name, he always told us, translated in Gaelic to Scraggly Bush. So naturally, as teenagers, this immediately became his nickname. So we called him Scraggly Bush as his nickname forever. And then, unfortunately, he ended up committing suicide in 2012. So I thought, what a great way to honor him, kind of poke fun of him at the same time, honor him, and then the name also suits the business well. So
that's awesome. Oh man. So COVID's going on. You have this crazy idea to launch this business. And now it seems like it's kind of taken off in a huge way. I see your products all over the place. I have the personal connection through Chris, the mutual friend, but I'm seeing your products pop up all over the place. Tell me a little bit about the story of building this business and how it blew up on you.
Yeah. So I am not technologically inclined, neither is my wife. Technology is not our biggest asset, if you will. So just building the initial website and getting everything started. We also don't know, we don't have anybody in our family that owns a business. So, this is all from scratch. This is all brand new to us. So we managed to build a website for the business, and it worked. And we launched March 30th, 2021. And, outside of a few friends and family ordering, it's pretty much crickets for the first month or two. And we're like, oh man, well, maybe 2400's all this thing's going to take, because maybe it'll just die. But we got lucky, and I had never heard of TikTok in my entire life. And my buddy hits me up and says, well, maybe you should think about throwing a video up on TikTok. And I was like, well, I don't know what that is, but I'll make a video for you. And July 4th, we're super patriotic here. Me and my wife are. So July 4th, we made this video where I had a Squallet on my side. It's on our website if you ever want to go check it out. We had a Squallet on my side, and then I had a big possum pack in the front, and I put a tall boy Budweiser in the possum pack, and we played the beautiful music of Lee Greenwood's what is it? Glad to Be American, or what is it? What is it? Proud to Be American. That song in the background. And I cheers, said "Happy Birthday, America" as I pull out this Budweiser from my possum pack. And we gave the video to my buddy, thinking, yeah, we'll see what he can do. And within a matter of a day or two, this video had hit 1 million plus views. So we go from literally no one but family and friends know about us to viral internet, and we just that's what put us on the map.
That's awesome. So where does the inspiration for all of these products come from? The Squallet started with your sister's wedding, but you guys have 1 million products. I was checking out your website just a little bit ago, and you got the RackPac and the Possum Pack and the Skoosie. And where do you come up with these ideas?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my passion for the outdoors, designed with wanting to make people laugh. I really enjoy like making people laugh and having a good time. I think that just comes together, and I'm like, what funny product can we come out with that it's functional, people can use it, but at the same time, the primary purpose is to share a laugh or draw attention. So I think that's kind of where that comes from. Maybe the veteran sense of humor.
Okay. Oh man, sorry, I totally forgot where I was going. I'm gonna have to do some editing on this one.
You're good, but as far as inspiration goes, outside of products, the drive to like do something different or to go get it is I think, I have an older brother, so there's that sibling rivalry. And he has always been a successful welder. He's been super successful. The guy came out of the womb able to build whatever he wanted to do, or build whatever he wanted to build, do whatever he wants to do. So I think, that sibling rivalry kind of pushed me to like try something new and try to get ahead. And it's a super easy path when you have someone in front of you that's already doing very well, and you can kind of just look at them and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll follow in your footsteps.
So I know your wife was a slow adopter. It took a little bit of convincing to get her on board, but it seems like you guys are kind of doing this together. Has she come around to the idea of running this business and the potential that it has?
Oh, absolutely. So our first goal when we started this thing was, we have that connection with Wyoming to elk hunt. We wanted to come out and do a bull hunt. We had done the cow hunt. So one of the main drivers behind starting this business was, as an out-of-stater, elk hunts are kind of expensive. I mean, you're talking $5,000 if you end up putting
Yeah.
down an elk. If you pay for processing, if you're going to put one on the wall, all this stuff. So we just wanted to be able to afford a elk hunt. And if we did that, if we met that goal, we'd be tickled pink. Well, we set a goal of like 5,000 to 8,000 because that's probably what it's going to cost to go on a decent hunt out there. And then luckily, at the end of year one, we were able to meet that goal, and we were tickled pink to meet that small goal we had set. We were elated. And then I think it was really then the fact that this business was enabling an adventure or trip is really when I saw the approval in her eyes, if you will. Like, okay, yeah, this really can be a thing.
What has been the most difficult part of your journey so far? Have you had any big roadblocks that you thought were going to shut you down, or any sleepless nights, really difficult moments?
Oof. So like I mentioned, getting started when you don't really know anybody that has done this before was, I mean, in effect, you're kind of like trailblazing because you have no idea what you're doing. Don't have a lot of people to
Yeah.
ask questions about. But outside of that,
Hmm.
one of the most difficult things was after that video hit 1 million views, we were nowhere near ready for that. We didn't have the supply of furs on hand. We weren't ready for the growth. Yeah, so that was another difficult thing. And the other thing is when we first started this
Yeah.
business, we just had one kid that couldn't even walk yet. So, I could easily go to the basement or go and get a lot of work done, and there wasn't a lot of loss. We now have 3 kids, so 3 young ones. So working around their schedule, I've shifted to where I sew and work on the business a lot later at night, and so I would say those are probably the most difficult things.
Yeah. That third kid is really a game changer. We have 3 ourselves, and that was the one that we had one, it was new, you're figuring it out. The second one, you're just adding a second of the same. You doubled the amount of work. Um, but then we felt like we had the 2 under control, and okay, we've done this twice. We kind of know what we're doing. Like, what's the big deal with the third? It's just 50% more. And holy cow, that third was that changed the game in a big way. Is that the case for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're no longer man-to-man defense, so one person is always stuck with the baby or stuck with two. I should say stuck. One person either has 2 kids or one person has the baby, and yeah, it's definitely it's a challenge, that's for sure.
Yeah, the friends that I've talked to that have been bold enough to go for it tell me that the fourth isn't as bad. That number 3 is the big game changer, but we weren't bold enough to go for it. So 3 is the limit in our house.
No. Same here. More power to them. Glad for them, but I think 3 is definitely where we'll be stopping.
Yeah. So I know you have a lot of background trapping and doing furs yourselves. Do you still source most of your furs yourself, or do you buy them?
You know, I really wish we could source our furs ourselves. I wish I could make a living by shooting squirrels all day or shooting raccoons, But no, we have about 4 or 5 different fur suppliers from the Midwest where we get our furs already tanned. Um, you know, I would love to expand in the future where we uh we have that process where I'm buying furs direct from hunters and from trappers, and I have a skinner or I skin it myself, and then we tan it. I'd love to incorporate that later on down the line or expand into that. But as of right now, we just have our fur suppliers and we buy them already tanned. But they're all from America, and we don't use any farmed fur either. So
Oh, so they're all naturally harvested.
yes, yeah, all of our animals we use are naturally harvested. We don't use any farmed fur, which is interesting because you would think our clientele uh, wouldn't necessarily uh, ask questions like that or care about that, but we routinely have emails and phone calls to ask, are our furs responsibly harvested, or are they want to know more about how the animal was harvested so they could, I guess, in their minds, justify walking around with a squirrel koozie.
Yeah. Yeah, it might just add to the um, unique appeal of the product of just knowing that it's not a mass produced kind of farmed product, but that there's something unique about it as well. So that's awesome.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So you said it was March of 2021 is when you started. Um, so you're 4.5 years in here. Has there been a moment that was a really scary moment in launching this business? Was there a time that you weren't really sure you were going to make it, or a time that you were pretty overwhelmed?
Uh, as far as starting the business, even though we didn't know a whole lot, I've never been scared to take a risk or try something new. So I wouldn't say like the initial start was that scary. I would say the scary part is, and you as a hunter, you understand. There's so many regulations that governing fur bearer and taking, and then you interwoven with business regulations now. So I guess what I'm always scared of is there's going to be some obscure regulation that I haven't read up on, or like, what if I fail to do something? Because again, this business thing is all new to me. If I fail to, like, I do my own taxes. What if I make an error on my taxes, or if I fail to, just that kind of like administrative error is kind of what keeps me up at night. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh man, I think that's a fear for every business owner out there. The IRS is I've heard it called the KGB quite a few times. It's a little bit scary messing with them. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, yeah, awesome. When in your journey with Scraggly Bush and building this business, has there been anything where you kind of had your mindset in one direction, and this experience of building a business, being an entrepreneur, exposing yourself to new things has kind of shifted or changed your mind about anything?
Yeah, I have learned to listen to my wife quite a bit more because she she is great when envisioning products. So the uh first off, she runs the business while I'm at my other job during the day. She takes care of all like supply chain, fulfillment, answering phone calls. So she's fantastic. So I got to give her credit for that. But also, just her ability to envision what a product should look like is better than mine. I don't know what kind of trait that is in your brain that allows you to see things before they're made, but she has got a leg up on me in that department. And
Wow.
for products specifically, I'm thinking of the possum pack. So we go to build this possum pack, and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm gonna cut 4 pieces out. We're gonna make it like a rectangle. It's gonna be this intricate thing. And then I remember clear as day, my wife takes a possum pelt and then she just turns it to the side and says, "Why don't you just cut the head off right here? And it's already intact. You don't have to do any sewing." And I was like, why did I not think of that? That's genius. So, and there's been a couple other instances where she's you know, kind of guided me and said, "No, I think it'd be easier if we just did it this way." So,
Oh man, we'd all probably be better off if we listened to our wives more often.
that's true.
Yeah. Um, what has there been a major mistake that you feel like you've made building this business, or something that you regret you wish you could have done differently?
Yeah, I think not advertising adequately in the beginning. I think we could have got a quicker start had we appropriately advertised our products in the beginning. And then when we did have that huge surge on TikTok, the initial time, I mean that we lost out on so many orders because the surge happened and we didn't have any furs. We didn't have not near the amount of furs that we needed to keep up with this massive surge after the million views hit. And instead of like taking pre-orders or setting up the website for pre-orders, we just turned it off because we said, well, we don't want to disappoint customers because we don't have the product. We can't guarantee we had the product. At that time, we only had one fur supplier, and so another thing is not having multiple suppliers lined up. But what we should have done is, if we knew we were going to be advertising in that capacity, we should have had products made ahead of time, and we should have had the supplies ready to go, and we should have known how to enable pre-orders, and that way we could take people's order and get back to them later. So I think a lot about that situation, and we have grown a lot since then. We now, prior to advertising or putting videos out, we ensure that we have quite a bit of supply on hand, and we've kind of developed some surge tactics, if you will.
Yeah, that's probably a difficult thing to manage in your business.
Yeah, because there's only so many squirrels out there, and there's only so many people that sell squirrel pelts. So yeah, I tease
Yeah.
people and like
Okay.
I tease people and like to tell them that I own the squirrel market in the U.S. and I don't know if that's true, but
That's
yeah.
great. So your first advertisement went out. You said you knew nothing about TikTok. A friend kind of took care of it for you. Have you learned a little bit about TikTok or social media since then?
I have. I entrust my wife with all of those accounts. I don't have them on my phone, but she's much more savvy in the social media realm than I am. But yeah, we learned all kinds of things. If turns out if you get enough views over a certain point in time, you can get paid for it. And yeah, so it's a whole new world, and I'm lucky that my wife knows way more about TikTok and social advertising and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, good for you. I always like to ask, have you made a beneficial mistake? A mistake that in the long run ended up helping you build your business or taught you a lesson that is really going to help you build upon? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think so, and we can laugh at it now, but there's probably quite a bit of sales we lost due to this one. But when um when we first launched, we decided we were going to make skunk koozies, and we were anticipating some good sales to come out of this because we had a lot of inquiries about, hey, would you do skunk fur? Would you do skunk fur? That is nothing I ever entertained because I didn't think people would want a skunk fur up to their lips, So we could have launched the skunk koozie, and I was super excited. I had high hopes, and we launch, and it's just crickets, and I'm thinking, like, what is going on here? And it goes a month, maybe a month and a half, and we get our first order, and I look at the order and the price. When we had entered the price, we didn't double check, and we fat fingered in, like, it was something ridiculous, like an extra 0 or 2 zeros, but it was an astronomical price for this skunk koozie. No wonder nobody bought one for that price. But eventually someone did. We were able to refund them the difference from what we wanted to sell it for and what they purchased it. But lesson learned is, like, attention to detail, double checking, your website, what the advertisements, what you put on there, because it could really mess up. So
Okay. That's a good lesson to learn. So, uh, what has been your biggest win so far? Has there been a moment that stands out as just a super high, a time when you're like, oh my gosh, we never thought we would be here?
oh, outside of seeing the people that originally looked at me like I was crazy for starting this kind of business, and the people, I kind of expected people to kind of look down a little bit and be like, ugh, like, I can't believe you're not embarrassed to do this sort of thing. And proving them wrong has been I don't know, a drive. Maybe it's a childish drive of mine, but I like that I was able to prove them wrong, and now it's a significant source of income for us. But I think one of the moments where the, like, this is it, we made it moment was when we got onto when Theo Vaughn on his podcast, which is a pretty popular podcast, and Theo Vaughn pulled up our
Yeah.
product, and he's pulling up our website, and he's going through it, and his guest is Luke Combs, which we listen to Luke Combs every day. We love Luke Combs, and to have these celebrities, people we would never dream of meeting. Of course we didn't meet them, but to have them going through our business, it was, and showing our products to people, and joking about our products, it was like, holy cow! Like, I can't believe we're here. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And that show appears to have gone pretty wide and far. I know I've heard about that show a few times from a few different people. Did that make a big difference in your sales?
Yeah, yeah, it really did. And we didn't get a heads up before that, so we didn't get a heads up that was going to air. They were just using
Oh
our
yeah.
website to look at products. So we just got this massive surge in sales in the middle of nowhere, and we're like, what is going on? We didn't put a video out, we didn't put an ad out, and I was sewing, I don't know, like till midnight every night for a solid month, and we were trying to figure out where this come from. And eventually my sister said, holy cow, did you guys know you were on this podcast? And I was like, news to me, but thanks for letting me know.
That's great. Well, that brings me to another question I had. You work a full-time job, a day job. You've got 3 kids. This business you built almost as a gag has just completely blown up. How do you find the time to manage all of this?
That's a good question. And I will admit that in the beginning, I don't know if my time management was the best. I think, in the beginning, you have to grind pretty hard in order to get it off the ground. So that's what I was concerned with. But I think I spent too much time with business dealings. I could have spent more time with the wife and kids. Since then, I've learned some more time management techniques, and I'll work as soon as I get off. I'll prioritize hanging out with the kiddos, making sure I'm there for dinner. And then, we have a hard bedtime for the kids at 8 p.m. And I make sure I stick to that bedtime. And then I'll immediately go downstairs and start sewing for however long it takes. And then another thing that we've been able to do that helps with time management is we get crushed every holiday season because our products, align with the white elephant style gift. They align with the kind of like a stocking stuffer, if you will. So now we've learned from that, and we can better estimate how much we're going to have in the winter, how many sales we're going to have in the winter, and throughout the summer when our sales volume is not as high, I will still, actively work and sew a lot ahead of time, so we'll have a surplus heading into the holiday season. So that's kind of the lessons we learned on how to better manage time.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you've got a pretty significant background in the armed forces. Have the lessons you learned there, the leadership principles, maybe just the personality that inclined someone to that type of a career, that background, has that played a role in building your business?
I think so, because with the military, it's always it's the next man up mentality. If for some reason the leader is out that day, someone else has to assume the role, and you can't be afraid to take on that role. You have to do it. You're the only one there to do it. So I think that has allowed me to view risk taking, and there's a lot of risk associated with starting a business, and I think that has allowed me to just kind of I think the military has allowed me to say, you know what, like, I'm going to give it my best shot. And if I fail, then, at least we gave it a try. But also, I do have to give them kudos that I came in to the military extrinsically motivated. I didn't really have, I would love to say that I was born with, intrinsic motivation and just could sit down and do whatever I wanted for hours at a time. But that was just not the case. It was something that was developed through the military, where I, was forced to do things, and then eventually learned that, hey, if I have I built up my own internal drive for success, because when you get a taste, in my opinion, when you get a taste of success, it's kind of contagious, and you want to keep chasing that. So the military gave me the opportunity to take risks on leading and take risks on new positions. And ever since then, if something new, a new position or something pops up, I always raise my hand because, it could never hurt to try. So I think that's where it influenced.
That's great. What motivates you to keep going when things get hard?
Oh man. I think when things get hard, uh, if I set a goal, I like to achieve that goal. And one of my overarching goals that I have had since I was a kid, again going back to my passion for the outdoors, is I grew up hunting and fishing on other people's property. I always had to ask permission, I always had to get permission, and I always had this idea of owning my own property. Getting to manipulate the land, getting to just not asking for permission to go hunt and just enjoy like boots on the ground on my own acreage. And I still have that goal to this day. So when things get rough, I pull up I'll pull up Lands of America. I'll pull up Zillow, and my motivation is looking at pieces of property that I think my family would enjoy hunting on for generations. So that's what helps me.
That's
motivated.
awesome.
Yeah.
That'll do it. That pushes you there. So this is one of my favorite questions. We've not talked about this before, but are you a person of some sort of faith, and has that played a role in your journey?
I am. Yeah. So I would say that the way it has played, I'm a Christian, but I would say the way that has played a role is my passion for the outdoors is kind of driven by that, because you're a hunter as well, so you understand that sitting and how serene and calm it is when you're, say, sitting in a tree stand. You can really connect with your faith. You can really connect with God when you're surrounded by beauty. I mean, the sunsets you see as a hunter, as a fisherman, the sights you
It's hard to
see
beat that.
are incredible. It's incredibly hard to beat. I've had birds land on the brim of my hat. I've had squirrels run over my boot. Like those kind of nature experiences and the beauty of it just, I think that's what it further drives my passion for the outdoors and my faith. So
That's great. So what is next for the Scraggly Bush Fur Company? Do you have any new products coming out? Do you have what's your wild dream of it may not happen, but where would you like to see your products or your company go?
yeah, so we have a couple really good ideas. I think I kind of want to go more into expand more into the garment industry. I have some ideas. I don't want to throw a couple of them out there because I don't want anybody to steal them, but I think they'd be really good. But as far as expanding and seeing where a company goes, I would love to get into some of these significant retailers, these brick and mortar locations. Um, you know, I don't think it's far fetched to one day see our product in Bass Pro. It might sound like a lofty goal, but you know, I would love to see that happen. And then if we could expand, as I mentioned earlier, to where we are acquiring the furs and we own the tanning process, because that's really what kind of our margins right now. What hinders our margins is the fact that I buy the pre-tanned furs. If we were able to, kind of own that process of it, I think that would really help. And I might get to hunt a lot more if I was involved in acquiring the pets.
Yeah, that'd be great. So What does the business look like right now? I know you were talking about doing a lot of the sewing. Are you still sewing all the products yourself? Do you have a staff helping with that?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's just me and my wife currently. And that's
Oh
somewhere
my gosh.
immediately where we need to expand is I haven't taken the leap yet of hiring on permanent personnel. Now we've hired some temporary additional personnel during the holiday season to help out with the surge, but you know, I need to hire on more people and get them working full time so I could focus on, maybe going out to conventions. We would love to go out and go out to boat boat sport travel shows, these hunting shows, fur trapper conventions, stuff like that. So yeah, to answer your question, currently I'm sitting in my shop, which is my basement, and I have racks upon racks of furs behind me, totes, and stacks of squallets to my right, and a dry erase board of things to get done on my right. So it might sound rudimentary right now, but I think in due time we'll grow.
That's great. I hope that you do. I love checking out your products. I love seeing the new things that you have coming, and that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
awesome.
appreciate it.
Well, I know you love coming out here to Wyoming and hunting the bighorns and fishing. Do you have any upcoming trips planned?
I think we're planning to come out to Buffalo again in February to visit my friend Chris McBarnes. Our kids are the same age, but that Lake DeSmet, I have been out to Buffalo, I think, 7 or 8 times now, and I've never fished Lake DeSmet, and it's just this big body of water just staring at me every time we drive by it to go hunt. So I think I wanna rope Chris in February to brave the elements and go ice fish the DeSmet.
Okay. Well, when you do that, let me know. I personally don't do a lot of ice fishing, but I know quite a few people that do. We might be able to hook you up and see if we can improve your odds a little bit. So, uh,
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate it.
yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Um, Something I asked all of our guests: is there anybody you'd like to see on the show? Somebody that you think has a really cool story, or somebody like yourself that just has an incredible product, an odd product, an industry or a niche that you'd like to learn some more about?
Ooh, that is a good question. Someone that has a product that interesting. Um, I might have to get back to you on that specific question. Although, if I don't tell you that my wife should come on the show and tell her side of the story, I think she's gonna be pretty upset. So I'm gonna go ahead and say my wife, so I don't get in trouble, and so she can share her part of the story. Yeah.
Oh man, that is a great idea. I think maybe we should have a couples edition. We could bring you both on and let you tell both sides of it. So that's a
Maybe,
great
yeah.
idea. I'm guessing in your specific industry, maybe you don't use these tools as much, but it's a segment we do every show to either fuel or settle the debate. If you have to pick a cordless tool, what brand are you picking?
Wow, I hope I don't offend people out there with my choice because I'm probably the last person to choose. My brother is probably going to hear this and go crazy because he is the guy that can build anything and has like tools upon tools. So I, you know, I'm going to have to go with DeWalt because that's what I have. I know it's not the highest quality of cordless products, but that's what I have. That's what I know. And I was able to finish my basement this winter with DeWalt products, so that's what I'm gonna have to go with.
Fair enough. That works for me. I'm a DeWalt guy myself. Again, I haven't tested them all. That's just kind of what I wound up with, but that works for me. So awesome. Well, Craig, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. If the listeners want to check out your products, find you, reach out to you, what's going to be the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So www.scragglybushfurproducts.com. You can go to our website right there and view all of our wonderful products. And then also, if you want to send us a message, it's got our link to our email. It's got our link to our social media on there as well. So you can hit us up there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here on From the Ground Up Show. If you want to be part of a future show as a guest, or if you have a question to ask of one of our expert guests, please find us online at fromthegroundupshow.com, or you can find us on social media at From the Ground Up Show. And if you have benefited from the show, if you have enjoyed the content or learned something, it would mean a lot if you could like, subscribe, share. That's our best tool for getting the show out, and it means a lot to us. So thank you guys so much. And until next week, keep grinding.